We have the signal in. Bitcoin is set to run. Morgan Stanley believes Bitcoin could de-dollarize the world. We'll dive into that, as well as Elizabeth Warren being absolutely roasted by Queen Center. An amazing letter firing back at the lady herself. Is the ETF really that bad for Bitcoin? I've got a different take on it today. Former WEF banker is railing against Bitcoin as well. So we are still in the then they fight you stage, but we are winning, as 96% of Bitcoin entry points are in profit. 369, let's get it. So the fear on Bitcoin Twitter is laughable. Half of you screaming for $1 million per Bitcoin the other day. Now we're all talking about a dump to 36K. By sats, it's nearly the halving. BlackRock just bought nearly 2 weeks supply of Bitcoin in just 2 days. Why are you all sweating? Shout out to everyone that is watching live, that is here in the chat. Smash the like button and let's get into it, hey? So the Kibesi letter, since the Fed, sorry, let me bring it up for everyone here. And g'day, Mike W. Since the Fed started raising interest rates in March 22, money market funds have seen massive inflows. Total assets held money market funds went from 4.5 trillion to 6 trillion in 2 years. 33% increase. Now the Fed is expected to begin cutting rates. What do you reckon we get this meeting coming up in about 20 odd days away? And what do you think about what's happening in Davos at the moment as we currently speak? Pretty interesting time, and we'll dive into a little bit of Strain X as well later down. Anyway, with record levels of capital on the sidelines, we could see a widespread rotation out of these money market funds. If this capital goes back into the equity markets, the recent run is far from over. Never has there been more capital on the sidelines. TikTok next block. And just remember, since 22, we have seen inflation rise above 9% for the first time in 40 years. This will make sense in a second. G'day to Diesel. G'day to Chris from Kalamazoo. What a great name. Second and third largest bank collapse in US history. Oil price goes from a negative 40 to 100 plus in a matter of months. Fastest Fed interest rate hike cycle of all time in human history. Least affordable housing market in history. Over 8 trillion US Fed debt borrowed. Just in regards to number 5, money is buying up scarce assets. What's the scarcest asset in the entire world? Obviously, it is Bitcoin. So mortgage demand at its lowest since 95, even though it's the least affordable housing market in history. Total US credit card debt hits a record 1 trillion. Yet all these three market indices are entering all-time high territory. Is this the most resilient market of all time? It's surely looking that way. We will see what happens. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, not financial advice, but most importantly, up, down, and sideways, $10,000, $20,000 days, daily candles, both ways. Get prepared for the volatility. Stack chill. It is all good. Now, CBDC advisor, oh man, former Berkeley WEF banker says buying and selling or sending transactions is what activates the extremely resource-intensive mining process. That's like saying every time you spend $1, the US drops an ordinance. As a reminder, spot ETF buy sell. So this from Ashley Lanquist. Buy sell Bitcoin to get their exposure, unlike the prior Bitcoin ETFs. Interesting, hey? This is coming from a former WEF spokesperson. And buying, selling, and sending transactions is what activates the extremely resource-intensive mining process. Currently 430 kilogram CO2 and 12,000 litre water footprint per single transaction. The propaganda, the lies, the misinformation, they are still there. Daniel Batten roasted her. So I'd do a little bit of research. It's a long read, but it's a good read. Well worth everybody's time there. Shout out to Fast Machine Media, Luke King, Mr. Android, Fast Machine Media. Again, it is good to see everyone in the live chat. If you are watching live, if you can humble that like button, get the signal out there. We've got a lot to cover. And just really quickly, Matt Hogan will be on Thursday, 5 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. If you've got any questions for someone that's just launched a Bitcoin ETF, obviously, I believe Bitcoin needs to be in cold storage. So if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask the CIO of Bitwise, drop them in the comments after the video's gone live. Tag me on Twitter. Now, let's get on with it. Bitcoin to de-dollarize the world, according to Morgan Stanley, both Bitcoin and CBDCs. CBDCs are about control. Bitcoin is about freedom. Morgan Stanley said the dollar's global dominance is threatened by the rise of Bitcoin and the eventual proliferation of CBDCs. That's probably some of the things that are happening in Davos as we speak at the moment. Depending on what time, maybe there's a little bit of debauchery going in there. We did have some highly paid people go there every year who charge an exorbitant amount for their services. So read between the lines, ladies and gentlemen. PG friendly show today. So you can watch this one with your kids. Wall Street giant Morgan Stanley believes the rise of central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, digital assets like Bitcoin and stablecoins could potentially disrupt the US dollar's long-standing dominance in the global economy. The lender made that analysis in a recent report titled Digital De-Dollarization. It's a pretty boss move, which highlights the disproportionate influence of the US dollar in global finance and the existential threat posed by digital currencies and CBDCs. Now, Morgan Stanley's riding this. We've got Larry Fink on mainstream media questioning the inflation in the recent couple of years and talking about Bitcoin being a store of value. It's all lining up for an amazing time. The halving, money print to go, bro. Fed fund rate looking to probably pause this cycle, and then maybe in March we could have a look at a drop there. We'll find out when it is on. Despite the US contributing about 25%, so a quarter of global GDP, which is very impressive, the dollar constitutes nearly 60% of global foreign exchange reserves. However, this dominance is now under scrutiny. Just a couple more things. I'll race through it. So EU and China are making strides to bolster the euro and yuan in international trade. EU focuses on enhancing the euro's role, especially in energy and commodity transactions. China is promoting the yuan through its cross-border interbank payment system, challenging the dollar-centric payment system. Meanwhile, other countries have created the BRICS organization. We've covered that in depth for a long time, so you can go back through and find those videos there. Organizations to develop non-dollar methods of trade amongst each other, while Russia has been looking into using private digital currencies for some cross-border trades. The report suggests that the center of digital currencies and CBDCs represent a significant challenge to trade. Dominance of the dollar in international finance. These emerging technologies offer more efficient, transparent, and accessible. Bitcoin is the most transparent ledger and accessible financial solutions, potentially reducing reliance on traditional banking systems and the dollar in international transactions. Two more things here. Rise of the digital currencies. The report analyzes the potential impacts of these digital currencies and CBDCs on the global financial system. It persists that as these technologies gain acceptance and usage, they could offer practical alternatives to traditional cash and fiat currencies. Shout out to everyone that is just joining here. If you are new to the channel and we vibe, hit the subscribe button and make sure you push on the bell for that Matt Hogan interview that will be live. So according to the report, Bitcoin, with its decentralized nature and cap supply, has evolved from a niche online concept to a globally recognized asset with an adoption rate of 106 million owners worldwide. Flagship cryptocurrency expanding global reach and national adoption by countries like El Salvador as legal tender signals a historic shift in national financial strategies. Now, let me, we'll jump into the numbers. We'll bring up the block clock here. 7:03 a.m. local time, 825,925 block height. We do see Bitcoin at the moment at 42,896. There is an inverted, or there was an inverted 69 there, first one of the day. Because this is family friendly, Nikola Tesla, 369. If you understand those numbers, you understand the universe. What we can see here is the hash rate is down a little bit in the last 24 hours, but the last block, let me just scroll here and bring it up. It was pretty impressive. Made up 19.9% of rewards there at 1.5531 Bitcoin. Total subsidy plus fees 7.803, and blocks to the next halving. This is the most important number. As a couple of days ago, we were above 15,000. Now we're going to be below 14,000 tomorrow in our next video. 14,075. Estimate time, April 23, 2024. We are looking for the 20th of April. We'll see. But at the moment, it's 2023. So let's shoot back and get on with the show. I will jump into the comments there as well. Just shout out to everyone watching Gargoyle, Average G and Gargoyle again, as well as everyone else that I paid respect to. Two more people, ladies and gentlemen. We've got 69 watching live. There is your third one for the day. So this is where Elizabeth Warren gets absolutely roasted. Mad respect. I put this out at Sean Clark 911. But show this thread. We sent a response letter to Senator Warren's demand that Queen Centre disclose if we employ former federal officials to undermine bipartisan efforts in Congress. Roasted. Absolutely roasted. This is what we... Why can we not? I'm going to have to read it, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I wanted to make it a little bit bigger. I understand most people are watching this on the phone. This is the most important part. Dear Senator Warren. So this is the 4th from the 14th, so 2 days ago. Last month you wrote to ask whether Coin Centre engages former defence, national security and law enforcement officials as well as other questions. With respect, we have no obligation to answer those questions beyond the public discourse we make under the law. As you know, Coin Centre is a digital civil liberties organisation, not a company or trade association. We take constitutional rights seriously. Free speech and petitioning the government are fundamental rights protected by our Constitution. Your letter, which you made public, discourages participation in important public policy debates and chills these rights. It equated our good faith engagement with stonewalling and undermining congressional efforts. It characterized passionate and patriotic advocacy as providing a mere veneer of respectability to crypto. And it repeatedly and inappropriately evokes the events of October 7 alongside... I'm going to redact that. In regards to abuse and crime, there's a word before it, but we are trying to stay a little bit lighter, as if we are indifferent or complicit in these tragedies. She's relating it back to child abuse, which is... it's sad, you know, that they use us for the children. It's how they want to take our rights away. We're here to protect our children's future and their children's future. That's what Bitcoin's about. And for Elizabeth Warren to come out with that. So well done, Coin Centre. A couple more things here. Good policy making can only happen when diverse voices and perspectives are earnestly welcomed and engaged, not baselessly accused of complicity in atrocities. To specify accusations that we are undermined bipartisan legislation, the reason we oppose the bills you cite, Cancy Act and your own Digital Asset Money Laundering Act, is that they are not common sense rules as you style them, but are instead unfair, unworkable, and most importantly, unconstitutional proposals. The Cancy Act would criminalise speech in the form of software publishing. Your bill would also essentially ban, there's only a little bit more that I want to read, and then I'll repost it for everyone. Software and permissionless blockchain networks. Given these facts, it's not just proper, but indeed patriotic for us to do everything in our power to oppose their passage. And we make no apologies for our efforts. You have confused our patriotic duty to oppose an unconstitutional and draconian expansion surveillance for political bias. I will repost that, and let me get this back up for everyone. So at Sean Clark 911, you can read the rest of it there. Well done for Coin Centre for firing back here. Now, for Bitcoin to go up, it has to go down. If you don't understand that, check out the video that I did with James from, Chainalysis. Anyway, the fear and greed has reset. It was in greed is above 60. Now it's down to 52. Let's just see if this is just Bitcoin, which I do not think it is. Give me 2 secs. I'll bring it back up. Here we go. Look into Bitcoin. It should be a little bit higher here. There we go, 52 out of 100. So we're at market neutral, which is a good sign. It's reset, it's cooled off. Obviously, it is a public holiday in the States as well. So trading with Wall Street won't begin back until tomorrow. So Matt Hogan, this is the gentleman that I'll have on in 2 days' time. The ETFs are bad for Coinbase takes are so wrong. I want to provide both sides of the argument here. Instead of being biased, I just want to say before we go into this, take your Bitcoin off the exchange, use a Bitcoin-only exchange. Study Bitcoin. If you haven't already, read the book, Bitcoin Evangelism. There is a book link in the description at the top of this video. Hold your Bitcoin in self-custody. Do not keep your keys on paper. Steal minimum. It's it's cheap as chips. And there are better options out there, but steal's a good start, yeah. Anyway, now we're looking at both sides. ETFs are bad for Coinbase takes are so wrong. Counterpoints, gold ETFs were not bad for direct gold sales. In fact, demand for gold coins and bars grew 5x after the launch of the gold ETFs as more people entered the market. This is what we want to see in Bitcoin. The creation of Robinhood and zero commission trading was not bad for Morgan Stanley or Charles Schwab. Morgan Stanley's market cap is up 3x since Robinhood was founded. Schwab's is up 4x. ETFs will dramatically increase the size of the crypto industry. Coinbase will figure out how to monetize that. In regards to the crypto industry, I'm not really interested, but in regards to the ETFs, bringing more people over to Bitcoin and self-custody, that's what I would like to see. And I have a feeling that will happen. We will bring more people in. Percentage-wise, it'll probably only be a small percentage of the people holding ETFs. Now BlackRock and all these institutions are behind it. What a proof of concept, and then they start reading the books because they understand that the WEF's mission is for you to eat the bugs. When they start putting all these dots together, they buy a real Bitcoin, take it off the exchange, hold it in self-custody. Happy days. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And I guess this is a pretty good point on this point. It's never taken more than 60 minutes, shout out to British Huddle, than 60 minutes to peak interest and willingness to allocate 1% to Bitcoin with people with a 500K net worth since I started orange pilling in 2020. Now with an ETF, I bet I could do it in 30 minutes. Why is that? Because BlackRock is behind it and they can get in a whole lot quicker. They don't need to hold up the signs and stuff. So if they can get exposure as soon as possible, because once you have a little bit of skin in the game, then you're going to start reading the books, you're going to start reading the articles, you're going to start watching the videos, and then you're going to realize the ETF, while it's price exposure, it's not actual exposure to the bearer asset. Now, this is a pretty good question. This is a question that I will be asking Matt Hogan. Do any of the ETFs do proof of reserves? Like many exchanges, I know it's a requirement to actually have physical Bitcoin, and that regulators check that periodically, but can we check it as well? It does look like BlackRock's wallet has been discovered as well. It's pretty clear when we know how much they've bought, where they're going. So we'll bring that up, but I'll ask Matt as well. Common misconception about TradeFi is that Bitcoin's volatility leads to capital loss, yet 96% of entry points in Bitcoin's history are in profit if held until today. Investing in Bitcoin requires a long-term orientation and acceptance of near-term fluctuations. Up, down, and sideways, ladies and gentlemen, $10,000, $20,000 days. If you can't handle the downside, you do not deserve the upside. Stack, chill, relax. It's all gravy. That is the mindset that we need to go forth with. And Max, he comes out with some bizarre tweets, eh? But this is a real good one, I think. This is probably one of his more sensible tweets as of late. Hodl explained, emotions of losing are more intense than winning. Overreacting to losses creates panic selling. Underreacting to wins creates complacency and a failure to increase position sizes. Bitcoin's mantra, HODL, is meant to help override these human emotions. And that's why, if I can give me 2 secs, I'll bring this up. The reason I don't bring this up so much anymore is because it's got all the alternative investments there, which I don't recommend. But when we see the big red button, you can push the big red button. It's only down a little bit, but if you push the big red button, when we have these $10,000, $20,000 days down, you get excited and then you push the red button. When we have the green days, still now, you need to do you, not financial advice, still a good time to buy. But then you get used to the red days. They don't override your psychology. You can just stack, you stay chilled. It's a good way to be in the markets. Now, newsflash, Wall Street will be better marketer of Bitcoin than Bitcoiners. A lot on the ETF lately. Let me get rid of the altcoins in the background and we'll go with bitfeed.live as the website in the background building the blocks. We are looking at both sides, ladies and gentlemen, and it's pretty interesting, especially with Matt Hogan coming on. He wrote a 64-page report. It's pretty great, actually, the report. He definitely understands Bitcoin, but what Fred's saying here is Wall Street will be a better marketer of Bitcoin than Bitcoiners. The latest ads from BlackRock, case in point. My generation of wealthy boomers doesn't particularly like tattooed covered Gen Xers, which is me, telling them that the entire financial system needs to be scrapped, which is me. We generally don't think very highly of El Salvador as an example of success. I do. We get the deficit is high, but bringing up Argentina and Lebanon every 10 minutes is not going to orange pill us. Have fun staying put. No, I'm kidding. We need Bitcoiners for everyone. And this is such a great point. I know I'm being a little bit Mickey here. We're happily adding IBIT and FBTC to our portfolios because we trust BlackRock and Fidelity more so than we trust Coinbase and certainly more so than hardware wallets. This is a Wall Street takeover of the Bitcoin narrative. Resistance will be futile. That's why it's more important, ladies and gentlemen, to be able to stack, to be able to hodl. Seriously, it's $11 Australian. Don't store it on paper. If you have your sock drawer or whatever it is in your shoe, absolutely ridiculous. Put it in a secure space. Anyway, Wall Street is coming. They are marketing. They are doing a good job. And what we were referring to earlier is if they can get a little bit of exposure to the Bitcoin ETF or a lot of exposure, some of them are actually going to read the books. Let me flip over. Read the books. There's more books upstairs as well. There's more books behind me there. They're going to read the books. They're going to start understanding what is going on. And they'll be like, okay, now I need to put a percentage in Bitcoin. It won't be everyone, but Bitcoin base holders holding the bearer asset will grow through the marketing efforts of this. Obviously, we need to keep an eye on what Elizabeth Warren does with the lies, misinformation, the propaganda of holding in cold storage. However, we are still in the then they fight you stage, so that's going to get louder, more noisier. It's all good. Long term, as I want to say back, holding Bitcoin in self-storage, resistance is futile. It will happen. It will expand, and you have a front run. I don't know, more than 99% of the world. British Hodl is saying get to one Bitcoin. The ETSL, the news is a further opportunity. It's like what we were saying yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. Either it turns into the reason you win or the reason you're still broke in 10 years, telling your grandchildren how the system is corrupt, the government's trying to hold you down, and how Bitcoin is going to save all the poor people of the world. You may not be able to get to one. I never thought I'd be able to get to one and reach my stack in my dreams. I continue to keep stacking. But if you set a goal that is further than what you believe is possible, what happens if you just reach it? What happens if you fall halfway short? Probably still better off than what you thought you could do. You need to do you. And we will bring up another side of it as well. Do you have too much Bitcoin? Let's just talk about that. If you have too much Bitcoin, you're not sleeping at night. Every time the price drops, you've obviously not read enough, studied enough, or you are overexposed. You need to be able to feed your family, have clothing, shelter, water, all the necessities. Life just doesn't stop because you're stacking Bitcoin. There is still costs going on in your life. So if you panic every time we get a little bit of a correction, maybe you do have too much. Long term, it would probably work out for you. But peace of mind is the most important thing. You need to look after your health before you get your wealth right. If you can get them together at the same time and go up, absolutely perfect. That's the way it should be anyway. James Lavish, what a gentleman. There was massive hype and fanfare leading up to the Bitcoin spot ETF, yet the launch didn't quite live up to expectations. Again, shout out to everyone watching live with a replay. Hit subscribe if we vibe, or we'll jump into the chat. Shortly, there wasn't a tsunami of capital inflow and there was no God candle. So was the Bitcoin ETF launch a failure? I'll read a little bit and then go on to Sean Clark 911 or on to James Lavish directly, but I have reposted it there for you. First things first, How are the new spot-based Bitcoin ETFs different from other Bitcoin ETFs? Futures that have been trading for years. New Bitcoin ETFs spot-based must own actual Bitcoin to match their NAV net asset values. This makes them far more attractive than future-based ETFs, paper Bitcoin for investment advisors, institutions who cannot buy actual Bitcoin for their clients or portfolios. As such, there's a huge amount of capital that's been waiting on the sidelines for this development and will use these new Bitcoin ETFs instead of the less desirable future-based ETFs. Because of this, many people, including myself, expect a surge of capital inflows into Bitcoin over the coming weeks and months. Tens of billions of dollars of capital, maybe even hundreds. One of the best ways to judge the validity of this is to look at the actual trading ETFs themselves in the first day of existence, just how much demand was there. Let's talk facts, not speculation. Some analytical insight this weekend from Bloomberg, Eric Balahanis. First off, we look at the total trading volume to see. So, total trading volume for the 10 ETFs that launched this week was $7.85 billion. However, we're going to subtract GBTC's volume for the total. Trust me for a moment, we'll get into why. So the total volume will be assumed with actual new interest, 2.3 bill on day one, 1.3 bill on day two, for a total of 3.6 bill in the first 2 days of trade, and still a wall at first glance. It continues to go on. There is money on the side. What I'd just like to say here is we'll just read a couple more of them. It's actually quite a long thread for you. Well worth the read in full. But as Eric pointed out on Twitter, RE first day trade by all metrics, volume, number of trades, flows, media coverage, it was a smashing success. Historical, we still see banks preventing people from being able to buy Bitcoin as well. It will change. Things take time. With marketing, ladies and gentlemen, you need to hear something that resonates 9 times for it to sink in, where you can hear something negative once, like what Elizabeth Warren is doing. And that's why we bring it up, so you can unpack that mind virus, because Elizabeth Warren is wrong. It's lies, misinformation, propaganda. This is the war that we are fighting here on this channel against the disinformation campaigns. However, people are going to have to, it's going to take a little while before people start to understand that Bitcoin is good. It is a hedge against inflation, and things like this are going to take a little while to disseminate out into the information. Like in regards to this, like all the volumes in Wisdom Trees, BTCW, the tiniest of the crew, was larger than 95% of over 500 ETFs launched in the past year. So volume and intention was there, yet what about actual investment? Is there more capital in the Bitcoin ETF system? Show me the money. I'll let you do your research there and follow that through. But these things are coming. Capital is coming. And why is that? Because they'll always find a way to print more money. They will always find a way. We can see going back from before the 1960s, probably 1955 here on the chart. Yeah, about that, I would say. You can see the amount of warfare that's gone on, stagflations, 18% mortgage rate, Soviet Union collapse, Black Monday, savings and loan crisis, Gulf War, Y2K, Iraq War, September 11th, dot-com bubble, Brexit, COVID. They just keep printing, devaluing the dollar, and this is why Bitcoin will win. So quite a few people I've spoken to have GBTC and Vanguard IRA, thinking they could have swapped it for a spot Bitcoin ETF. Now realize it takes a week to do the transfer into Fidelity, etc. So we have that time lag as well. So sell pressure comes first. A lot of people, GBTC holds a huge amount. Yes, we talked about it yesterday as well, but I did expect the number to go up more, or even just hold at 49,000, went 49 and then drop below 42. So I didn't do quite what we expected here on the channel, but it will in the long term. That's why I don't give out price predictions short term. I don't even give out long-term price predictions personally, unless like Bitcoin's either zero or $1 million. I don't think it's zero. That's just probably as close as you're going to get for me of my personal beliefs, but the market will show us, and fiat dollars to me don't matter, but I understand it does lead to more conviction, greater adoption. Anyway, now realize it takes a week to do the transfers into Fidelity. Also, apparently, Vanguard didn't let them buy any more GBTC in 2023, but that's a different issue. We need a minimum 1 week to see the total net flow. Couple more days. In regards to BlackRock, they own 14% of Vanguard, and Vanguard owns 8.2% of BlackRock. Together, they have 17.2 trillion assets under management. That's the same as China's GDP. excuse me, this is how centralized fiat is. That's not how any of this works. So we do have a repost. Oh, maybe I didn't bring it up. James did have a bit of a fire back in regards to that. I'll bring it up tomorrow. So another reason to hit subscribe. What a shame. It'll just take me a little bit too long to scroll through. These guys from Bloomberg just put out so many tweets. Anyway, moving on. The returns don't come from the stock market. They come from the corporation. Is a great way to try and understand why Vanguard isn't into Bitcoin ETFs, but just yet has no problem investing in COS that are companies that are involved with Bitcoin. Tim Bogle, which is the CEO, just saw stocks and commodities as two very different things. This is how I put it in one of my interviews with him, and which I touched on in my book. Not a fan of commodities. The lack of intrinsic value, dividends, and earning growth created by the work and innovation output every day by the American workforce was the main reason Bogle and Buffett as well were not a fan of commodities such as gold, silver, oil, or Bitcoin. Let's redact that for the matter. Crypto, Bitcoin. Commodities are a real loser's game, he told me. In the long run, they have no internal rate of return. You buy commodity, gold is a good. The Bogle effect. Example, you're betting you can sell it to somebody for more than you paid for it. I don't have an intelligent comment for that. It's absolutely rank speculation. Investing in stocks has an element of speculation. Of course it does. It's down to the individual or the CEO to be able to do things like what Vanguard is currently doing, not allowing people to spend their own money on what they choose to. So anyway, things like that can go wrong. We saw what happened with Bud Light as well with their commercials. It just takes one slip up, Disney, for things to go. Even on X, people pulling advertising dollars, all these things outside the control are outside your control when you invest into it. Even if it is just a shiny rock, it stays a shiny rock. You know, Bitcoin is Bitcoin, has an go up technology baked into it. But with stocks, it's about what corporations produce. The returns don't come from the stock market. The returns come from the corporation. The stock market is just a derivative that allows investors to invest in corporations, and no underlying thing like that in commodities. Now, let's just get a quick update on the market cap here, and we'll jump into your questions. $838 billion, 509,665,480. 24-hour volume, $24 plus billion. If we hit refresh and we see what we've done in the last 24 hours, so we've just dropped below 43K. Again, for the day, a high 43,312, a low 41,746.90 cents. I think that's the 469 there of the day. The numbers of the universe are aligning, as always. This is Bitcoin. So we do see that big red buy button. Make the most of it. Stack those sats and chill. I'll say hello to everyone watching live. Just one super quick message. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, smash the notification bell and the like button. I'd appreciate a lot. If you're watching the replay, say hi in the comments. I need to catch up on yesterday's, but I will reply to everyone in person. That's my promise to you. Unless you're talking about altcoins. Probably don't do that. I'd suggest it's not a good idea in my comment section. In regards to everyone that is watching, good to see you. I have shouted out everyone. Just run through again. Mike W, Diesel, Chris, Fast Machine Media, Luke King is the king, Mr. Android, Gargoyle. Now, g'day from Mother England. Just watched a great explanation from British Hodl on OTC over the counter why the price didn't pump as we thought it would. Haven't watched it yet. British Hodl understands TradFi. I would highly suggest watching the video, see both sides of it. I actually really, really respect British Hodl. A lot of people are railing against him. His message, get to one Bitcoin or have fun staying poor, basically. And people don't like that. It will. We just need to stay patient. Absolutely. G'day, snowy day in here in Tennessee. Bought a couple of red dips. Well done. Wish it was snowing here. It's so humid. Like, I don't know, yesterday was over 80% humidity, maybe more, maybe into the 90s. It's hot and sticky, and we do not get snow ever. Yeah, I wish we did. Sure, once all the OTCs are exhausted and they have to buy from exchanges, I heard Caroline Bauer from Bitcoin Market say there's no doubt Australia will have their own ETF soon. We always follow USA, of course. BlackRock, the Bitcoin ETF, the whole world watches what the US does. And I just want to show you this if you didn't pick up on it. The US is a very important country. It's a beautiful country. Shout out to everyone flying the flag everywhere around the world. Anyway, I fly it with much respect alongside the Bitcoin flag. The Australian flag's still coming. I don't know what happened to the one I ordered. However, Australia is watching the US. The rest of the world is watching the US. BlackRock coming in has given the approval for other countries to be able to do the same thing. So, time. Forgot to hit the thumbs up, bash it, guys. Appreciate it. Humble it maybe is a nicer word, but I appreciate the sentiment. Crypto emergency, stack, chill, relax. Habib, g'day. Fast machine, stack and chill. Get to one, period. Decentralized dad, spitting facts. I thought I'd only get to one. Now I have more than one Bitcoin. There you go. See? Oh, Gargoyle is leading by example. Maybe don't say how much you have. I don't think that's the best thing in the public domain. However, do the very best you can. And Gargoyle, perfect example. I thought I'd only get to one and as far exceed that. And I talked to many people that set their goals out further. What happens if you reach your stretch target, hey? Fast Machine Media, same here, Gargoyle. So there's two people doing it. Miami Hoddle, watching there on X. No force on earth has ever stopped an idea whose time has come. My favorite quote from one of Michael Saylor's interviews. Absolutely. I'm thinking of quitting X for a calm ahead. I get all news by watching your awesome videos. Love and thanks from Switzerland, mate. Andy, appreciate it. Truly appreciate it. Elizabeth Warren has already lost. She just does not know it yet. I used to say to people, Bitcoin below 10K is a blessing and 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, get before 100K is all you need to know. Oh, Caleb, too many Bitcoiners go boating. Hey, I lost all my Bitcoin in a boating accident. Plus, I wouldn't want anyone knowing I was rich AF. There's this meme on Twitter yesterday. There's like a hovel of a house, and my respects to everyone living rough there. But they had like a $500,000 supercar in their driveway. And it's like, signs you bought Bitcoin under 100,000 or whatever it was is a little bit of fun. Respect to Martin Luther King Jr. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Obviously not up to date, but many respects to everyone celebrating over there. He would have loved Bitcoin freedom technology. Whatever happened to the pilot test with the Commonwealth Bank custodial Bitcoin a couple of years ago? I actually don't know. It was pretty interesting. But now that they're putting $10,000 a month as the max that you can move into Bitcoin or the casino if you want to, like the altcoin casino, you can spend as much money at an actual casino as you want. But to put your money into hard assets, $10,000 a month with Commonwealth. So is it just a matter of time where they allow you to buy Bitcoin only through them? I think that's the plan here, and probably potentially through the ETF when that launches in Australia. Cheers from Miami. I liked Miami. Hoddle the goat. But your beaches, I was so disimpressed with it after all the hype. It's, I guess, too many people here, and I don't know. Unfortunately, the beaches at Miami didn't live up to what I expected, but the place was cool. Super chill people. Hoddle's the goat. No force on earth has, we've read that one as well. How NG King, ETF, all money from China flows into Hong Kong. Hong Kong and Canada ETF soon as well. Did you cover Bitcoin in Rogue Money yet? Now, this is the pizza lady. I've tried to stay out of it, and I'll talk about it, but a fact is I've been feeling like pizza for the last couple of days and made pizza for my wife and I last night. It was beautiful. So, and this actually happened. So, and I'll tell you where the context comes from within regards to Samantha LaDuck, Duck Lady. Sorry, I'll stop taking personal jibes. She's just railing against Bitcoin, has no understanding. She's selling a $7,000 course to get stock picks. It's absolutely disgusting, misleading people. Anyway, that's why we need to get the signal out here. Anyway, I made a pizza for myself. I made 8 slices out of the pizza. For my wife, she likes to slice a little bit smaller, so I made 10 slices. And guess what? We still only had one pizza. We couldn't feed the entire world by breaking it down. And this is what Samantha LeDuc is saying. Let's flip back cameras. Is Bitcoin is not scarce because it's infinitely divisible. So one Bitcoin, if you imagine it like a pizza, what Samantha is saying is you get the pizza and then you chop it up into 8 slices. And this is in relation to Bitcoin. So you get your Bitcoin and you can chop it up. But because you can chop it up and up and up, it's infinitely divisible, so it's not scarce. We remember, you bring it all together, and interesting symbol I made with my hands. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, you bring it all together, and one pizza is still one pizza. No matter how many slices you cut it into, one pizza is one pizza. It's like $100 bill. If you were to chop it up, a little bad example using fiat, but say you were to cut this bill up into 1 million pieces and give it out, and each piece would be a proportion, if they could make that happen, of the $1 bill. You'd need to bring them all back together to have a $1 bill. Bad example because it's not scarce. They just make 1 million of them. But that's basically her whole diatribe is Bitcoin can be broken up into so many people. I want to stay away from it because it's total garbage. It's a psyop. It can be broken up, infinitely divisible, so the 21 million Bitcoin is not scarce. That's her argument there. The beach and the golf side are much better. I'll need to check those out next time, Cyberdude, I'm there. Mr. Android, do I follow care about the fiasco and potential change to Aussie Day? No. No, probably not going to give out my thoughts on the live stream in regards to that. May reconsider, but it's no. Gassed out gaming is pumping some nonsense. Stay away from this person. If you give me 1 Bitcoin, I'll make you the best pizza you've ever tasted. Imagine getting 10,000 Bitcoin for the first pizza. Is BlackRock buying up the Silk Road Bitcoin the US government has OTC? The US government is going to have to announce when they've sold or when they start selling at least, but I think it's once they've sold, so we'll find out soon enough. But remember, the US government is one of the largest holders of Bitcoin in the entire world, and they do have to sell it. So where's it going to go? Most likely to BlackRock and these institutions as well. Oh, 2 pizzas. So each pizza was 5,000 Bitcoin each. Ladies and gentlemen, remember Matt Hogan will be live. If you've got any questions, they had the most successful ETF launch. I want to look at both sides. Remember to get your Bitcoin off the exchange, put it into self-storage. Humble the like, smash the subscribe button. If we vibe, do something nice for somebody. Have a beautiful day. Be blessed. Peace.